Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to You in Mind. This and today's special guest is Jonathan David from the UK, who's going to talk to us about his artwork and what he does. And I'm very grateful to him for coming in last minute because we had a cancellation due to illness. So, without further ado, I'd like you to welcome uh, Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Namaste and
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for helping us out last minute. Um,
You're very
uh,
welcome.
do you prefer Johnny or Jonathan?
Johnny's absolutely fine.
Okay, okay, Johnny. So, as I don't really know much about you, I've just had a quick read
Mhm.
of your website, and you sound very interesting for a young soul. Um, well, I find it really exciting when we get young people uh, putting themselves out there, with
Mhm.
this stuff at that age. I think it's fantastic. So kudos to you, hats off to you.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
so, in your own words, in your own words, if you can just tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are, what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Johnny. At the moment, I'm a Usui Reiki practitioner, but that's kind of quite recent in my I suppose. Everything started about maybe 10 years ago. And I came to where I'm at through a series of mental health issues.
Yeah,
It was basically through battling depression that I had to find new answers to the world.
yeah,
I had to find out why is it that I'm feeling this way? How is it that I can feel better? Um,
yeah,
and along the way, I learned about myself, and that learning about myself brought me to spirit, essentially.
yeah,
Brought me to the idea of us being more connected in depression. I felt quite isolated, quite lonely, quite disconnected. And
yeah,
it was through realizing my connection to the world at large, to other people, to my friends, to my family, that I started to find some solace again,
yeah,
base to sort of live a happy, stable life from. And this just led me to books, lots of different people, lots of different knowledge. I didn't turn anything away that could help me, regardless of how opposing it was to any other ideas I might have had. Um, and this has led me to different meditation techniques, different creative outlets, different ways of understanding my own energy, my own body, my own mind, and my own processes. And through that, I realized I was teaching my friends alongside me learning about myself. When I talked to my friends about it, they were also learning from me. And it just made me realize this is what I want to do. I want to bring this happiness back to people. And if I can go from such a low that I started off in, and end up building myself back up, then anybody can do it. And we're all
yeah,
capable of coming to our truest, highest self in any single moment. So that's what my path has been. And that led me to Reiki. I met a couple when I used to work in a coffee shop who did Reiki and invited me for a taster treatment. And I was a little bit skeptical, a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure what this is. And they laid me down for the treatment. The love that I felt was what I felt every single time I get into a deep meditation. And they told me they can teach me this, they can show me how to do it. So that was the path that I started pursuing about 2 years ago. And it wasn't until Reiki came into my life that I really um, committed to this kind of career aspect, as a kind of going out there and making this my life calling.
yeah,
Um, so now I try and use my Reiki to clean energetically, but also give them tips and ideas on how to live their life in a way that is going to bring their truest self to the forefront, the part of them that feels joy and feels excitement about what they're doing. I think a lot of us can feel stuck at this point in our lives with the way the world is. We're not quite sure what we're after. And I think returning to ourselves before we got told who to be,
yeah,
all those things that bring light into our life and finally reconnecting with them. Which is why today
yeah,
I want to talk a little bit about artwork and a bit about writing, because that's one of my loves and my passions. And I've used it to heal myself, I've used it to uplift myself, and I use it to just express and relax myself. So that is a little short snippet of my life over the past 10 years.
That's perfect and that's brilliant. Thank you. Hi, George, for joining us again today. I think there's two people
Hey,
on, but
George.
I can't see who else is on. Last minute, I don't know if anybody will see that we're on, but thank you for
That's
joining us,
fine.
George. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, it's really interesting as well. You know, I love synchronicity because my intention with this channel was to do a week's long every day to get people's energy shifted rather than just do one a week. And then once we've got the energy moving, then I might move it to one a week or two a week, maybe depending
I get you.
you know who wants to do it. Come on, that is. And I was actually thinking I was going to put at the end of the last video, which is tomorrow, which I might as well do it today now. Is would anybody be interested in like arts and crafts videos? So if someone wanted to come on like yourself and do what you do to connect to get to that essence where you're drawing, and then maybe do a live painting, give some tips or whatever, or like my daughter does crochet. I've got friends in America who do all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
So I wondered if people might be interested in that because it is a form of meditation.
Yeah.
And
It is,
you know,
definitely. I think that's a
yeah.
lovely idea.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have you back in a week or two and get you doing something like that,
Yeah.
maybe.
Some
Yeah,
live drawing. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to.
yeah. And see if people would be interested. You know, I mean, because my daughter says, "Oh, how would it work?" And I'm like, "Well, same as any other YouTube video that I've how
Yeah.
to." Yeah.
Get
So I'll
people
sit
joined
there
in,
with
show 'em what to do.
crochet
The crochet
needles or
needles.
whatever, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Uh,
okay. So okay. So I'll just let you continue and talk to us a bit more about the artwork side of it. And
yeah,
okay.
that's fine. So I think it's probably just sort of important to explain why I think artwork is so good for helping people de-stress, release anxiety, get out those inner feelings. I
Yeah.
think as a society, we tend to be quite mentally focused. We're all kind of up in our own heads,
Yeah.
thoughts on things to do. And we don't often have time to release that energy in any kind of, not productive way, but any kind of healthy way. It's
Yeah.
usually more things are piled on top of us, more things fill up as brain, and as nervous system just gets overstimulated. When we start doing something like artwork, we are using a completely different part of our conscious self. We're using something else that doesn't require thought to be present. It's us back into our body, and in our body is where our emotions live. And through getting in touch with the body and then expressing ourselves through artwork, we are letting those emotions out onto the page,
Yeah.
space inside of us for new, more positive emotions to come through.
Yeah.
So a lot of people might not have done artwork for a long time, might not have done it since they were a child. That's how I was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I'd not touched a pen or paper for a long time. So when I got back into it, I was very unsure of myself and I was looking at other people's artwork and judging what I could do against that. And something just came to me one day, just sat in the garden, just return to that child. When we were a kid, we don't care if we colour outside the lines. We don't care if we have one big art. We don't
Yeah.
look for perfection. We look for expression. So that's where I started. I got some paints out and I got a canvas and I just started squirting paints all over the canvas and got my fingers in there and started finger painting and just got
Yeah.
back in
I love
touch
that.
with that. We got back in touch with that part of me that is just messy, doesn't care about what it looks like in the end. And after playing around a couple of times, ended up with something like this. And
That's
that is
beautiful.
just, isn't it? And it wasn't really me, it was just a mess that I made on the page, but it comes out and it expressed what I was feeling at that time.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I like to do is obviously you need access to paints maybe or even just a pencil, but we'll get to that in a second. Is if you do have access to paints or colouring pencils, is starting simply by colouring, putting colour onto the page, anywhere on the page that you like. Art doesn't have any rules. I think that's one of the things that we sort of tell ourselves. Art has a specific kind of way of being, but it doesn't. Art is
No.
complete freedom of expression, and it's understanding that properly, that you can literally do anything you want, and it's a piece of art. Don't judge yourself on what it might look like. So, if you can get yourself a piece of paper, even a pencil, a pen, anything at all.
I've got a notepad and a pen.
A notepad and a pen, awesome. So we can do a nice little exercise. Oh, let me find a nice blank page. Any scrap piece of paper, it doesn't really matter. One of the really nice things is doodling. Doodling's a really great way to get into artwork because doodles don't have a specific purpose. They don't need to look like anything. They don't need to, they don't need to be shiny examples that are going to be hung in a gallery. So take any page, any scrap piece of paper, any pen, any pencil. It doesn't have to look good. And just let your mind start wandering with your hand. Let it start scribbling onto the page any kind of way that you like. It seems quite basic. This is just trying to get you past that blockage that says I need to do something in a specific way. It's just letting yourself start that freedom of expression. Just start yourself drawing off little squiggles, little circles. It helps if your pen works. What? Give me 1 second. Oh.
My school books when I was at school were always full of just rubbish. Doodles.
Much more interesting than schoolwork, for sure.
I can't actually see it, to be honest.
And you're not, it's a bit bright.
It's a bit bright.
Apologies. I think that's
all right.
It's all right. It's not. There's not much on the page, but that's the point. We're not trying to do anything important. We're just trying to let ourselves squiggle, scribble. It's a little bit better from that angle.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
And we're going to start just making little squiggles, little circles, little spirals, little scribbles. Because what we're wanting to try and do as we're doing this is any emotion hanging on to at the moment. I mean, under lockdown, I think a lot of us are feeling anxiety. I've been feeling anxiety myself for the entire circumstances of what's going on, being unsure about the future. So what we're trying to do is turn that energy inside of us into motion, turn it into something on the page so we can just scribble around. And like I said, this is just getting us past that initial blockage in his head. Once we start getting all that energy out and getting something on the page, we can have a little look at what we might have created. It might look like a mess, and if it does, you're doing absolutely perfectly. That's exactly what we need to be doing. Creating a mess right now.
Yeah, mine's just squiggles. Squiggles.
Exactly.
Squiggles.
Perfect. That's all we're wanting. Just a little bit of a start off so we can get in and make it look like anything we like. So a lot of people probably at this point are familiar with things like mandalas, like flowers with repeating patterns. And one of the things I like to do as a little exercise is once I've got my scribbles, is picking any little line that I've made. I really wish this was showing up a little bit better. There we go. So any little line that I've made. Where's my pen on the page? There it is. So just sort of maybe in this section, I'm going to start just adding smaller squiggles, maybe little loops, maybe little hills, maybe little triangles. Start adding shapes into the spare space.
I don't have any spare space. I've proper filled it.
Well, then do it around the edges of what you've done. That's absolutely fine. Anywhere you can, anywhere you like. So all I'm wanting to do here is just show how much artwork doesn't need to have a goal or a purpose. And by not having a goal or a purpose, we do switch off that part of our brain that is always calculating, always trying to achieve, trying to get somewhere. Just getting lost in what it is that we're making. That's all we're trying to do at this point. Just sort of open up a bit of space. I'm just doing little circles inside the gaps. And if you haven't got any space like Maria, then you can go on the outside of what you've already done. Add little triangles, add squares, add little squiggles again. We're just doing what we did, but just smaller, essentially. And we're just playing around. This is something you can do all day long for an hour at a time, 10 minutes at a time. And just going to start creating a little bit of artwork. Again, my pen starts running out.
Gotta love life,
Butterfly.
bees.
So, boom, boom, little squiggles, little dots. And the nice things about artwork is repeating patterns. And again,
Yeah,
I think if I think it's my curtain. Just give me one.
there you go.
There we go. It's a bit
There you
easier.
go. That's better. Yeah. Yeah,
So as
that's
you can
cool.
see, I've started adding in these little bits here, and that's all we need to do. Just repeat again and again and again. Like I said, we just want to return to that childish part of ourselves that doesn't care
Yeah.
about what we're doing.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
just trying to let go, express, and have stuff come through. This is letting your mind wander, create whatever shapes you like. I used to find at times in my life I liked different shapes.
Yeah,
One's
yeah.
other points I like spirals, sometimes I like squares. Just do whatever feels that comes out. There's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. We just do as we feel. And
You
this is a way just
left-handed?
to get out those messy. I'm left-handed, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, the lefties are all artistic. It's true.
We try. We don't mean to be. Yeah. So this is just trying to get out all those messy feelings, all those initial buzzing around in your brain, all that initial energy that's just sort of trapped inside. We're just letting it come through, come out, squiggle around. Do, do, do. There's not a lot to it. I think this is the lovely thing about artwork. It's accessible to anybody, anywhere. Anyone
Yeah.
can do it. Everyone should do it.
I think art therapy is one of the best therapies myself, personally.
It absolutely is. It just allows you to switch off, get lost, and express. I don't have a lot of my art books out, but and I used to just get some pastels and just scribble the colours. I think if you do have access to colours, this really
Yeah,
sort of helps
yeah, yeah,
meld those emotions through those colours. You can put
yeah,
them
yeah,
together, make them look however you like. Boom, boom, boom. So that would be a simple exercise anybody can do, even just on a little square piece of page. And before you know it, you start getting lost in it. Oh, which way is my camera? And within an hour or so, you start having something. And you
yeah,
might
yeah,
not think it's very pleasing to the eye, but you'll get lost in it. You'll start to think you've done so much, and you'll wonder how it is that you personally managed to do that. I think you
yeah,
can get
yeah.
quite a nice sense of achievement when you finish a little doodle like this
Yeah,
and
and
play
especially,
around.
as you say, if it's in colour, it'll just really make it pop.
Just make it pop. You can use different colors in
Yeah,
different points.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think that's probably it's just the important part is just knowing that it's valid artwork and it's not about trying to create a masterpiece. It's just trying to create something that expresses how you're feeling at that time. Even if you're feeling messy and a little bit clouded, you can create a mess, and that
yeah, yeah.
mess on the page expresses what's been.
Breaking up a little bit, Johnny.
Am I? Sorry.
It's all right. It
How's that?
happens. Yeah,
I think it's headphones. Awesome. Boom, 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 boom. So, yep, that'd probably be the first simple exercise I would do. Beyond that, we get colours thrown in there, paints, paints on the canvas literally, and you'll end up making artwork.
yeah,
Um, I often find myself trying to do artwork outside. I feel like nature really helps bring in some sort of inspiration, some sort of
yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
Not everyone can get outside at the moment. Some people are stuck in, say, flats or apartments. But even just by a window, just so you can see outside,
Well,
maybe
yeah,
can always
see a
help.
tree
You
or a
know,
flower or yeah. We've got
exactly.
even a
So
house across the road. I'm sure you can make something with a brickwork pattern or something. You know.
exactly. So then the next thing that I would look at is using dots. So
Yeah,
this is something I did a while ago.
that's
That is
amazing.
all just on the page, trying to
I'm going to
create
talk
sort
to you
of.
about that afterwards.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Because as well as sort of lines and scribbles, we can just sort of dot different
Yeah,
patterns.
like the
You can dot,
Aborigine paintings.
yeah,
I
very much
love
so.
those. And my friend Kathy, I was hoping it'd be on because she does a lot of those and she's brilliant at it. Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's very interesting because it's one of I was talking to this about with my friend the other day that like some of the first things that we as humans started doing will be in dancing, singing, and then artwork. They're
yeah,
like if the cause of what makes us who we are. And yet, I think it gets lost a lot in the modern day that that's kind of our roots and where we come from. And that just being able to
yeah.
sing, just being able to dance, being able to express through artwork is something that every soul needs in one way, shape, or form.
It is. To me, music and artwork and just
Mhm.
self-expression in itself is as much needed as the air we breathe and the food that we intake.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
when you
I
look to
often
any,
find,
sorry,
no, go
you
on,
look,
that's fine.
you look
I
to
was gonna,
any culture, even our
yeah,
own British. You
hmm
know, you go back before nightclubs,
yep,
before before all that kind of stuff, when people were living in huts in little villages.
exactly.
The songs are used for different things, for
Hmm
evoking rituals, for
hmm
weddings, for ceremony,
exactly.
for all sorts of things, and just
hmm
for the joy of being alive. So
Exactly.
and even dancing, right? Dancing in itself is an art form akin to drawing to me, because
hmm
if you watch somebody dance, they're creating a pattern.
Exactly. Yes, they are
So
their own body.
yeah, as my daughter. My daughter's really artistic. I'm so envious of my daughter. She got all my abilities.
I
Yeah,
oh,
all the stuff that I want her to do, she does it. Ah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that I do have like a little chart of self-care that I keep. And one of those things on there is singing, because I
Yeah,
know that if I I know that if I haven't sung for like a week or so, even just randomly in the shower, I know that I've let myself kind of fall into a bit of a bad place. And all I need to
yeah.
do is put on some music and sing along to it, and that bad place just sort of lifts. Yes, Natasha, I can see the comments. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, Tasha, we sorted it out yesterday. We figured out that if whoever the guest is puts their mobile phone on to the YouTube, they can see the comments. Win win.
Win win.
Win win. um, yeah, I mean, the first thing I notice when I go downhill uh,
hmm
is music. I stop listening to music.
hmm It's just
You
like
know,
that innate part of yourself you turn off for some reason when you.
yeah, it's really bizarre because music's like, my passion.
hmm
As long as with this, but music
Yeah.
has been my thing since I was even before I started this. So at 10 year
hmm
old, so um, I always remember singing to my mum's Greek music, even though I had no bloody idea what I was singing or
Oh,
whether the words were right. But I used to,
yeah.
when she was cleaning, she used to have the Greek music banging out. And I used to sing along to it, before I was even 7 year old. So,
hmm
and I never forget that.
Never
Uh,
forget. It's just.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Such an innate part of who we are and what we do.
it is,
Just
yeah.
need that expression. It's like
It,
I don't know. It's what the soul wants to do. Like the mind wants to do something else, but the soul just wants to express, and it does that through singing. It does it through dancing. It does it through art.
yeah.
Uh, I
I'm
think these are
always
all things
saying
we need.
music is the language of the soul.
hmm Very much so. It's
It is.
universal. It doesn't matter
It
who you
is.
are. You listen to music and you can understand it, can't you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, tell us more about your little. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Tell us more about
Huh?
your little checklist.
My little checklist. So on my checklist, there is it's kind of like a little cornerstone almost. There's like four little points. One of them is cleaning. Like I need to remember to clean my room and clean myself. One of the problems with
Yeah.
depression is that you neglect yourself. So I have my little checklist to make sure I've had a shower today and I've brushed my teeth and I've tidied my room up, because doing that just declutters your mind space so quickly, washes off any excess energy. The other is sleeping. I'm quite notorious for staying up way too late on a night time, so I need to remember, like, I love having an afternoon nap. Like, I let myself indulge in it. And at this point, when I've got actually nothing else to do almost most of the day, body feels
Yeah, yeah,
tired, I'm letting myself rest, because when will
yeah.
I get
Just
another
do it.
chance to just sort of, you know,
Well, you've got to listen to
exactly.
your body at
So
the
there's
end of the
cleaning,
day.
there's resting. Exactly. That's exactly it. It's when your body says you're tired, listen to that advice, go to bed. Like, who else can tell you not to?
Yeah,
And then the other is, yeah, writing and singing,
yeah.
making sure I'm expressing. Um, and the last one is dreaming. Like, if I haven't rested properly, I don't have dreams. And if I don't have dreams, I personally don't feel as relaxed or settled. So
Not everybody dreams though. Yeah,
that is
everybody does
true.
dream, but not everybody remembers the dreams. Um,
Yeah, I know. So
one
that one is
tip,
quite.
one tip I will give you on dreaming, which you probably know anyway, but as soon as you wake up, write it down. Whatever you can
Mm,
remember, write it down, and even if it's just one word.
yeah,
And if you can talk to somebody about that dream, it usually sparks things, and you remember more about it.
more memories. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. That's I've kept a
yeah.
dream journal for many years. So I've
Yeah,
loved my little
well,
dream
like I said, you
adventures.
probably know. Yeah, yeah. But for
But no, it's a
anybody
good
else
tip for
listening,
anybody else. Yes, exactly. Who wants to get into dreaming? Just writing it down as soon as you wake up, like you said, talking about it just helps bring back
yeah,
all those memories. Yeah, I don't know where I've actually kept my list, but I think those are the four things: making sure I've been clean and tidy, had enough sleep, expressed through writing, and make sure that I'm dreaming. Without those things, my life kind of falls apart a little bit.
yeah.
Do.
George says
So
when we are little, we're like parrots. I'm not sure what he means. I think he means like we copy as parents. I think he might mean that.
we do, yeah, that's very true.
Oh,
I
Kathy's
think
here.
mimic.
Kathy's the lady that I told you about who's the artist who does the
Ah, the
dots.
average. Ah, awesome.
Welcome,
Hello,
Kathy.
Kat. Oops. Um, yes, I've got what I was going to say. I had something in my head then. Sorry, I've forgotten what it was.
Sorry, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Um,
Is there anything else you'd like to share on the art side of things? On the art therapy side?
Phew. Along with just getting rid of that block and those judgments and letting yourself literally just create a mess. And I promise this is where I started, just making artwork, making it a mess and not bothering with it. Ended up with playing around with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, I think it can be important to try and mimic your emotions. That's what I was going to say about the parrot thing, actually, that George said.
Oh yeah.
That as a species, we are quite mimicry. That's one of the ways that we learn through mimicking other people. Um, so I think trying to represent your emotions on the page when you're doing artwork. So if you're angry, if you're in a really frustrated mood, just stabbing your pen into the page and scribbling around, you're exercising those feelings, those emotions in quite a safe and healthy manner. Taking it out on someone else, you're not taking it out on yourself. You're just turning those emotions into a physical action and you're drawing it onto the page. Maybe you're feeling quite light and happy, so you're doing very soft, dabby brush strokes or pen strokes. So anytime you can try and represent how you're feeling on the page when you're doing artwork is going to help every single one of those emotions leave
Yeah.
the body, enter the page, and leave you feeling freer, happier, and more harmonious. And that's literally all I've ever done. And I've gotten better at art, but I've also taken judgment away from myself so that my art, regardless of what it looks like, I still enjoy it. I still like making
Yeah.
it, because I think that's the most important thing, enjoying what you're doing for the sake of enjoying it, not for some end goal that you might achieve.
No, of course, of course. And it's a good point what you're saying about liberating the feelings. because, you
Hmm.
know, as a human species, we tend to repress those feelings. So anything that can get those feelings out there,
Hmm.
um, in whatever shape or form, because it has to come out to be released.
Yes,
So whether you're speaking
exactly.
about it, singing about it, drawing it,
Talking
dancing it
about
out, whatever, screaming at the top of your lungs, just get it out.
exactly. Get it out any way that you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Kathy has just asked if I paint to music. I don't. I listen to music whilst I paint, but I don't paint along to the music, if that makes sense. I tend to have a playlist just on shuffle and I'm singing along. But
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I am lost in my painting, my artwork, I forget what I'm listening to and I forget the surroundings that I'm in. And I just get absorbed in whatever my
yeah,
hand is doing, picking out different colours and just chucking it all on the page. So I
yeah,
tend to get more absorbed into the artwork than I do painting along to something. But I think that's a really nice idea. If you could paint
yeah.
along to some songs you're listening to, getting them
Instead of paint
involved
by
in
numbers,
your
paint
creative.
by song.
Exactly. Different set of action artwork for each song.
Yeah. Can you imagine listening to System of a Down and painting? Yeah.
Bitch. uh,
That could be quite cool, actually. Anyway,
gonna say you could add some paint to your hair and just headbang.
yeah. Yeah, that'd be it. Got to have long hair though.
I know.
Kathy
Uh,
says, and she's got a very valid point, that it's very sad that the arts aren't promoted in schools anymore.
hmm I think that's very true. I went to a performing arts college, or my high school was called a performing arts college, and even in a school that was dedicated to the performing arts, it wasn't really valued. It wasn't really funded. It's
Yeah,
almost like the maths, sciences, and Englishes are all that matters, but all that does is stimulate the mind and the brain. It doesn't relate to the body and the kind of chucks away a whole aspect of who we are as people. And I think it's a really massive shame that they aren't promoted anymore because I think a lot of people in school don't get along with academic work. Like I knew a lot of people who were really bright people, but didn't like academic work, like reading and memorizing stuff. They wanted to express, and they weren't
yeah,
given the time of day in school. And I think that is really
yeah.
sad.
But when I were at school, which is a long, long time ago, um, we still had arts. We still had a garden. We used to grow vegetables.
Oh,
We used to have pets in school, and in the school holidays, we'd all choose a pet to bring home to look after in the school holidays, which also taught us to be responsible for another
ah,
living being, which I think
yeah.
is amazing. Whereas these days, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really not cool.
and look at now during these times, right? I feel so sorry for parents with young kids right now that are at home with the kids
Mm.
on holiday.
Can imagine, yeah. So,
Come on, Johnny, let's pot up some parsley and see how it grows and water it every day. Ooh, no, I want to play me
no, I don't play my Xbox.
whatever.
Yeah. No, it's very true. It's very different. We're very disconnected from that side of ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah,
It's quite difficult for a lot of people trying to trying to get kids back into that and trying to get them to understand its importance, I suppose.
yeah, it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tasha, I don't know what you mean when you put question mark Redillion.
Yes, that was the school that I went to.
Oh, Tasha went
Brilliant
there as
school.
well, so you probably know
Oh,
each
did
other.
you?
Yeah,
Oh.
she's a little bit older than you, but not a lot. You'll have been in there at the same time.
Oh, sounds very strange.
It's not strange. I thought I knew you when we came on, if you remember.
That's very true.
Yeah. Soul family, you see,
Ah.
we recognise each other straight away.
Oh, that's very
Uh,
cool.
George is saying it's a pity about arts because it's therapeutic. It is.
It very much
Um,
is.
I have some of those mandala colouring books.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I bought a load when I came out because I thought I'll use them with me clients and stuff. Um,
Oh yeah.
but to be honest, business here is really slow because like I said earlier, they're a bit closed-minded. So. So I doodle in them now and then, and when my friends come over, they do as well. But I think for anybody who's not artistic, even doing those,
Is very good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think that them in themselves might get them out of the mindset of, oh, I can't do this, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It lets them just sort of express themselves. A bit of color on a page. The drawings
Yeah.
are already there. You can just get in and have a bit of fun.
Tasha says they grow plants on the Xbox now instead.
Very true. Virtual worlds. I'm 27, Tasha. I know my face doesn't quite look it, but
Well,
uh,
I'm 27. I've been 27 for the last how many years? Um, so
uh,
age is just a number.
it is. That's very true.
But is there anything else you'd like to
Yes.
share with us today? Yeah.
I think I'd just like to talk a little bit about this guy who I made a couple of years ago now. But I think if I know not everybody is probably into spirituality, and probably not everybody is watching this specifically for any sort of spiritual advice. We're all looking kind of just ways to cope with these
Well, I
things.
don't know. I think if anybody's on here, they're on here for spiritual help and guidance.
Ah,
That's what it's
awesome.
about.
So one of the lovely things to do, I think, from a spiritual perspective, is I know you can't quite
No, we can see it if you do that. Yeah.
each of the colours.
I can't hear you though.
You can. Can you hear me now?
Speak a bit.
Can you hear me?
No.
No, no. Hang on. What
Okay.
about now?
Yeah.
That's strange. um. Okay. Yeah. I'll put the picture down because I think that's trying to get in the way of my headphones. Um.
Okay.
Each of the colours relates to one of the chakras, so it's a really
Yeah.
nice thing that spirituality splits the body up into these different chakra sections because they give you ways of expressing. Um, so I've used purple at the top, and I've used blue a little bit further down at the throat, green on the chest, yellow and pink's a little bit further down. So when we're trying to, if we ever get stuck, I think that's what happened. We got a little bit stuck about how to play around with this piece, and I just turned to my spiritual work and for let
Yeah.
that inspire me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I ended up creating a figure. As you can see, I'm not very good at full
He's,
body
he's
pictures.
brilliant. He looks like
Thank you.
my ET that I drew a while ago, but that's way better than what I drew.
Oh, bless. Well, that's interesting because I do feel like he's a bit of a spirit guide. He's someone that comes and visits me. I've never seen him sort of physically in my mind's eye, but I get impressions of him.
Yeah.
And when I do artwork, he's one of the things quite often. So I was kind of inspired by that, by my spiritual work, to add the
Yeah.
color in that kind of format and that fashion. And then I highlighted it with a little bit of gold, as like a little golden aura around him.
You'll have to
So I
post
think
us
what I'm
the
trying to,
picture. You'll have to
I will
post us the
do.
picture because you can't see the colours on here.
Okay,
Well, I can't. I don't know if everybody else can.
I'll do that then afterwards. But yeah, I think what I'm just trying to say is that if you can't feel like you can find inspiration from within yourself,
Yeah.
look at the things you already enjoy in life and use that as an inspiration. Maybe you like the outdoors, draw some
Yeah.
trees. Maybe you like a certain and draw your favorite character, like a certain kind of song, and just draw some musical notes.
Yeah.
Everywhere is a mood board. Everywhere is an inspiration place. Like look at anything and everything that you already love, and translate
Yeah.
that onto the page some way. Especially if you feel a little bit about how to start. Start anywhere that makes you happy. I think is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
say.
Of course. I mean, I really love photography, but because I'm not technically
Mm,
minded at all, I just can't get my
yeah.
head around settings and things. So my camera's always just on automatic, and then
Oh
I'm like
yeah.
kicking myself because, I'm like, come on, Marie, you're not a stupid person. You can do this.
You can figure this out. Yeah, but we've all got to start somewhere, haven't we? And starting on an automatic
Oh,
session will probably help you learn how to use the settings properly in time.
whatever, it'll
You
stay on
never know.
automatic. My right brain
As long
can't
as you
pick the
enjoy the
left brain
pictures.
stuff.
That's absolutely fine, isn't it? Do, 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 do. And I think the other thing I was wanting to talk about today was writing, because alongside art, I absolutely love writing.
Yeah,
Um, there's one thing that goes around quite often is writing journals, and I think this is an absolutely lovely technique because oftentimes there's a lot of emotions that we have inside, kind of fear to speak. Like it's a bit too much for us to actually say it out loud to ourselves or to someone else. So writing a journal, a letter to yourself, a letter to your higher self, um, can really help to sort of exercise and bring out the
absolutely.
um, so I have notebooks absolutely full of just little random thoughts, little random writings, little times that I felt really down, and I've just got it all out on a page. So I find that really nice to help again get those emotions out of you. If you're feeling in a bad way, write down how you're feeling, being honest about
Yeah,
it, and being like, I'm really upset about this. This doesn't, I don't know, I'm not happy with the way my life's going. I'm not happy where I'm
yeah,
at. I don't like being in lockdown. I don't like feeling so
yeah,
isolated from people. Because sometimes just being honest with ourselves about our feelings gets rid of any resistance to them. And it's
yeah. It's like we
oftentimes
were
that
saying
resist
before, getting it out from inside,
side,
releasing it.
releasing it is the
Uh,
important.
yeah,
So I would always recommend to people, this is probably just a little short bit about writing out your feelings, but sometimes we want to try and talk about our emotions and write about our emotions without kind of triggering them and kind of piling on top of them instead of just getting lost in a flurry of self-loathing and self-doubt. We can instead ask ourselves, what do we think our higher self would, what do we think our spirit wants us to know right now? And we can
yeah,
almost write a letter to ourselves from a higher perspective, saying all
yeah,
those things that we wish someone else would have said, but and we can be the ones that say it to ourselves. So we can exercise those emotions, but we can also bring in beautiful, positive, loving emotions on top of that
yeah,
to help fill in that gap and help make us feel at ease and happier with ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah, I think those are beautiful exercises to do for any kind of
Yeah,
writing activity.
one of the exercise I do with clients is depending on what the thing is, but say you've
Hmm.
got an issue from your childhood, um, is write your younger self a letter,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and like reparent yourself, if, as it were.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a lot of
Yeah,
especially on a spiritual journey, kind of
yeah,
need. We kind of probably grew up without those role models, essentially, that we kind of really desperately needed, but just weren't in our lives for one reason or another.
yeah,
So us being a parent to our younger self is a brilliant thing to do. I think that's a thing that we all need and realize that we can
yeah,
give ourselves that support
absolutely. Yeah,
and that we
Tasha
all it
says
can
that
come from in here.
journaling's real. Natasha, my daughter's saying that journaling's really helping her during lockdown, which is good. I'm glad to hear that.
That's really good. I would recommend it to anyone and everyone, to be honest. It just, yeah, it just helps to feel free from those feelings, doesn't
Yeah,
it? And George says it's been like being talking to our therapist. Exactly. It's like you get to be your own therapist and
yeah,
talk to yourself about these feelings and let them out. And you know, who else can you feel safer around except for yourself? You already know your worries. You already know your fears. So
yeah.
you don't have to worry about telling someone else them because you already know what they are. So you can just let them out freely in your own presence and let them move back to source.
And it's interesting as well that you know a lot of people look to outside to other people for answers to their
Hmm.
questions, to their feelings. Is it wrong that I'm feeling this way? Is it right that I'm feeling this
Exactly.
way? Do you
Exactly.
condone this? Instead of doing that, when you're journaling yourself, you find the answers for yourself. You don't need that out.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. It
yeah,
empowers you. It takes away that
yeah, oh,
feeling of guilt and shame about feeling the way you feel because that tends to be what causes us to turn to someone else because we don't
yeah,
believe in ourselves enough. We need someone else's validation. But when you do
absolutely.
it for yourself, you give that validation back to yourself and re-empower and wake yourself up to your true potential.
Exactly, exactly. And people need that. People need to realize that they are their own shining light. They don't need someone to
Hmm.
shine that light on them.
Like for them, exactly. That is a beautiful way to say it. That's exactly what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, on that note, is there any questions that anybody's got any questions for Johnny? He's
I'm
must
all
have
ears.
a letter. He's lovely. Sorry?
Oh, I'm glad you think so, Kathy. Hmm.
I don't know how long we've been on because unfortunately, because I didn't set it as a schedule, I don't even know what time we started.
I think it's saying 45 minutes on my
Oh, is
screen.
it? Okay, so we've
Yeah.
got 15 minutes. So
Hmm.
if you want to give people 3 tips other
Three
than what
tips.
you've already given
Okay, on top of
uh,
what I've already
uh,
given.
on how to
Um,
survive lockdown.
yeah, okay. I think tip number one is something I've been doing myself recently. And I'm telling you it because it works. I do
Yeah,
it, so I know that it works. Um, in lockdown, I think again, a lot of us will be battling with anxieties, depressions, kind of different emotions running wild, getting all stuck in his head. So what we need to do is come back into his body and feel his body. And one of the things that I do is literally my right hand on my heart, left hand on top, and I sit for a moment and I just feel my own heartbeat. And by getting into the sensation of feeling my own heart beating, it takes my brain away from thinking about stuff. And I now focus on the feeling aspect of my being. And that drops me into my body. We can also add little sort of affirmations or little help to this. So one of the things I like to do is repeat "I love you" to myself and just sit here and go, "I love you,
yeah,
I love you," and that kind of sing-songy gentleness with yourself
yeah,
really helps to ground yourself into your body and
yeah,
switch off your brain and just feel and be here. So doing that for 5 minutes a day, maybe just before bed, really helps to connect to who you are and
yeah.
make you feel solid and grounded in the moment. So that'd be
That's
tip number
useful.
one. Thank you. Tip number two, I'd probably say make a list of all the things that make you happy. A kind of a gratitude list, but also maybe something you can play with. So list all the things that make you happy in the world, the stuff that happens, the fact that the sun shines every morning, the trees and the wind, anything that makes you happy. Look at that list and let yourself imagine all those things. Even if you can't physically be with them, let yourself imagine them. But as Natasha just asked, what's my happy playlist?
Yeah.
If on there is there some songs and stuff, play those kind of songs. My happy playlist isn't necessarily a playlist, but probably anything by Kid Cudi. I don't know if you've ever heard him, but he has some beautiful, just chilling tracks. No, your face is like, oh, I don't know who that is, but that's fine. Natasha probably heard of Kid Cudi.
I'm
I
old.
just
I'm
think,
old, and I'm old school. So
yeah,
you know, you young people need to introduce me to all these new things. So send
it's
me
fine.
some
It's just
over.
I will. So yeah, I listen to Kid Cudi is probably like a nice, happy, light kind of music. But yeah, writing a list of anything that makes you happy, anything that brings you joy, and reminding yourself of those things. It might be something that after we've come out of lockdown, you can go see those places, see those people, do those things. But it's just to remind yourself there are things in this world that make you happy, that make you feel joy. And every time you read that list, you can remember them, you can get engaged with them, and you
Yeah,
can go back to them because sometimes we just forget. So, hand on the heart, feel happy, write a list of all the things you enjoy. And the last one, a bit of a simple one, but literally, like you were saying earlier, listen to your body. And if you need a nap, go for a nap. You know, I mean, if you need to rest everything off, shut everything off. Don't get caught up in feeling like we have to do stuff because right now there's nothing for any of us to really do. You know, we're all need to stay indoors and just chill out. Obviously, some of us are key workers have to go out, but for those of us that kind of have the privilege of not having anything to do for the next several weeks, months, use that time to really rest and connect with yourself and remember that you are important and that what you need is important. So if you need to rest, rest. If you need to eat, eat. If you need to go get a shower, go get a shower. But
yeah,
come back to yourself and do those things that are going to really make you happy and your body is telling you you really want to be doing right now. I think those would be my three
brilliant.
tips.
Yeah, great tips. And
Thank you.
I'll just go through some comments a little bit if you want to do, and
Yeah,
then
of course.
uh, well, you go through because you can answer
Yeah.
the
So
questions
George saying
better.
that's a good thing. Look in the mirror and say I love you to yourself. Exactly, George. It's that connecting to yourself. You're giving love to yourself. You're not searching for it for anyone else. You know that you are the source of love. You are giving that
Yeah,
love to yourself, and it just amplifies and feels so great. Kathy says, Beth says hi. Says she on and dances, and that helps. Also, water fight, spray bottles with spray bottles is fun, amazing. Like I love that she puts music on and dances because that's something I do. It's not something I'm going to do on camera for people, but like when I'm in my room on my own, put my
And
music
why
on, sing
not?
out loud, dance around. Exactly, exactly. That freedom of expression. A water
Yeah.
fight with spray bottles is a very good idea. I might have to try that. I'm not sure my mum will be happy, but I'll.
Tasha and I have got a really funny water fight story from when she lived at home when she was younger, but and in the with the neighbour across the road, David, and in the end, I ended up running upstairs into the bathroom, getting the shower, and putting the shower head on him. It was funny.
Oh god, that sounds it. Uh, what does George? George says many times I've dressed and put on the Greek music. Amazing. Again, music is healing. Everybody loves music. It connects us to ourselves and our soul. So awesome. I love that.
I don't know if
Natasha
it's possible.
says,
Go on, sorry.
no, I'm going to say Natasha says, I recommend Think. I'm going to assume that's an artist or a band that I will
Yeah.
have a look at. Thank you, Tasha. Uh, and good tips. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed them.
Yeah. Okay. There's no more questions. I think we should wrap it up. Kathy,
Awesome.
actually, while you're on now, Kath, because you were on before, I was just saying earlier that we're having this week of intense, everyday discussions to try and break down the energies that's been built up, and then I might take it to one or two a week if I can get people on. And I'm thinking about maybe bringing some artists on to teach us various things. So, like, you could come back and do as a intuitive painting or intuitive writing, and Kathy can come on and do us some
Yeah.
artistic stuff, and my daughter can come on because she does all sorts. My daughter's just like amazing, and I'm not saying that because she's my daughter. She bloody is amazing, you know. Um, she does everything. She plays instruments, she draws, she creates
Awesome.
things, she sings, she's a hairdresser, you know, she's just,
Oh, amazing. Multi-talented.
yeah, but obviously she's got everything that I want her to do. So, so I think that might be a good idea if anybody's
Mhm.
interested. Um, further down the line, once we've got all the talk therapies out of the way,
Mhm.
um, and bring some
I'd
of
be
that
happy to
stuff in.
contribute for sure. Definitely. That sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, okay, Tasha's saying she got soaked. Yeah.
Just me. I think you pressed something, Maria. I'll be entertained by me for a little while. Hello. Um, technical issues. Um, Kathy saying, Beth, really enjoying our talk. Thank you, Beth. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm suddenly taking the front seat. Um, Maria, come back. No, you've pressed.
There we go.
Oh,
I got cut
she
off.
coming.
Sorry,
There
I
we
got
go.
cut off.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Can you not hear me?
No sound.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. Um,
It's not my settings, I don't think.
audio.
Still no sound.
No sound. Oh, is it? Can you hear me now?
Kathy just asked me to sing. George can hear us both, but I can't hear you, Maria.
That's really strange because
Not sure
my
what's happened there.
it says my mic's working.
I mean,
Okay.
oh, there we go.
So,
Got the sound back.
y'all, you
Take
can
these.
hear me now.
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you
Sorry about that, guys. Technical problems. Gotta love being live.
now.
Uh, Tasha says crochet. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that, Tasha. Singing. I don't sing. Kathy, do you sing? You don't want to hear me sing, Jesus. Tash says she's the one sat here staring at the space for 10 hours a day. Tasha, you're that creative. You should be making all sorts of stuff by now. Okay, the canal eras. So I think we should wrap it up there then, just in case things get cut off again. If anybody wants to contact Johnny, I'll put his full name in the description on YouTube, and you can contact Johnny with anything that you'd like to ask about, or go to see for therapy or whatever. And again, thank you for helping us out last minute. It's been wonderful. I'm so happy to meet you.
Thank you.
And please stay in touch, and hopefully we can do something again in the future.
Yeah.
Once I eventually get back to the UK, I'll come and give you a big massive hug.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
So, thank you everyone, and join us tomorrow for the last one of this week's week-long series with my good friend Caliani, who lives in France. She's talking about soul union, something she's put together with her and her partner. So it could be interesting for anybody who's in a couple. Obviously, I'm single, so whatever. But so bye for now, everybody. Take care. You're gonna stay online, Johnny. 2 seconds. Okay. Bye bye.